Before we begin this enchanting tale, I invite you to close your eyes and imagine the warm African night breeze carrying whispers of cardamom and star anise. If you're ready to be transported to a world where love and mystery dance together under moonlight, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because tonight's story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about destiny. Chapter 1: The Night Market's Secret. Listen closely, my children, for this is a story that happened not so long ago, in a time when the baobab trees still whispered secrets to those who knew how to listen, and the night markets of Zanzibar hummed with more than just commerce. The spice-scented air hung thick and intoxicating over Stone Town's narrow streets, where shadows danced between coral stone buildings and the Indian Ocean breathed its salty prayers onto the shore. It was during Mwezi wa Tisa, the ninth moon, when the veil between the seen and unseen grows thin, and fate weaves her most intricate patterns. Amara moved through the bustling night market like liquid moonlight, her indigo hijab catching the glow of oil lamps as she navigated between stalls overflowing with cardamom, cinnamon, and black pepper. She was a spice trader's daughter, blessed with a nose that could distinguish between cardamom from Kerala and cardamom from Guatemala with a single breath. But tonight, something else filled her senses, a scent she couldn't identify, mysterious and alluring, leading her deeper into the labyrinthine market. The aroma guided her past Mrs. Fatuma's fabric stall, where kanga cloths rippled like captured wind, past old Mzee Hassan sharpening his curved knife under the flickering light of a kerosene lamp. The scent grew stronger near the ancient well at the market's heart, where legend claimed a jinn once granted wishes to pure-hearted souls. That's when she saw him. Kaisai stood beside the well like a figure carved from ebony and starlight, his traditional white Kansas shirt pristine despite the market's dust, prayer beads moving through his fingers in a rhythm that seemed to match her heartbeat. His eyes, dark as kahawa coffee, met hers across the crowded space, and time stuttered like a drum missing its beat. Habari za jioni, he said, his voice carrying the musical accent of the mainland, warm as honey mixed with ginger. Sajambo, she replied, suddenly aware that her voice trembled like a young gazelle's first steps. But pause here, dear listeners, have you ever noticed how some meetings feel written in the stars? If this story is stirring something in your soul, show some love by giving it a thumbs up. Your support helps keep these ancient tales alive. The mysterious scent intensified, swirling around them like an invisible embrace. It was then Amara noticed what Kaisai carried, a leather pouch that seemed to pulse with its own inner light, emanating that hypnotic fragrance that had drawn her here. "What is that scent?" she asked, stepping closer despite every instinct warning her that some mysteries were better left unsolved. Kaisai's smile was enigmatic, holding secrets as old as the monsoon winds. "My grandmother called it harufu ya mapenzi, the scent of love. But others know it by a different name, the fragrance of forgotten souls." As he spoke, the market around them seemed to fade, the chattering voices becoming whispers, the lamp flames dancing in patterns that defied the still night air. Amara felt herself being pulled into a story much larger than a chance meeting between strangers. "Are you a spice trader?" she asked, though something told her this man's business lay in realms far beyond the earthly commerce of cardamom and cloves. "I am a keeper of stories," Kaisai replied, his eyes never leaving hers. "And collector of things that others have lost." The leather pouch pulsed brighter, and within its glow, Amara glimpsed something that made her breath catch, fragments of memories that didn't belong to her, faces of women who looked remarkably like herself, all reaching towards something just beyond their grasp. "What did they lose?" she whispered, already knowing the answer would change everything. Kaisai's expression grew solemn as the ancient baobab. "Their ability to love truly, completely, without fear. Each spice in this pouch represents a woman who gave up her heart's deepest desires for safety, for approval, for anything other than the wild, terrifying beauty of authentic love." As the first chapter of their encounter drew to a close, the night market sounds returned in a rush, as if the world had been holding its breath. But the scent lingered, wrapping around Amara like a promise and a warning combined. She looked into Kaisai's eyes and realized that her ordinary life as a spice trader's daughter was about to become something extraordinary, and possibly dangerous. For in the depths of his gaze, she saw not just attraction, but recognition, as if he'd been searching for her across many lifetimes. "Will you walk with me?" he asked, extending his hand like an invitation to destiny. And as Amara hesitated, caught between the familiar safety of her known world and the mysterious pull of something greater, the ancient proverb her grandmother used to whisper echoed in her mind, "Pensi laqueli halina hofu, lakini hofu inaweza kua pensi." True love knows no fear, but fear can kill love. The choice was hers. But sometimes, the heart knows what the mind hasn't yet discovered. What will Amara choose? Will she take the hand of this mysterious stranger and risk everything for the promise of true love, or will she retreat to the safety of her ordinary life? The night is still young, and in the next chapter, we'll discover what ancient secrets Kasai carries, and why Amara might be the key to breaking a curse that has lasted for generations. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss these enchanting tales from the heart of Africa. Share this story with someone who believes in the magic of love, and let me know in the comments, have you ever felt called by a mysterious scent or drawn to a stranger who seemed familiar? Your stories inspire these tales. Welcome back, dear listeners. If you're just joining us, make sure to catch Chapter 1 first, you won't want to miss how our story began. And if you're already enchanted by Amara and Kasai's tale, hit that like button to help this story reach more hearts that need to hear it. Amara's hand trembled as she reached toward Kasai's outstretched palm. The moment their skin touched, the world exploded into visions that weren't her own, flashes of women throughout history, all bearing her face, all making the same fateful choice at different crossroads of time. She saw herself as a Shanti princess who gave up her royal birthright for safety in an arranged marriage. As a Maasai warrior woman who traded her fierce independence for social acceptance. As a Yoruba healer who buried her gifts to avoid persecution. Each vision felt like remembering a forgotten dream, and each ended the same way, with profound regret and a heart that learned to love only in half measures. "You see them now," Kasai said softly, his voice anchoring her to the present. "My grandmother's grandmother's curse has followed our bloodlines for 7 generations." The night market continued its bustling dance around them, but Amara felt as if they stood in a pocket of suspended time. The scent from his leather pouch grew stronger, and she realized it wasn't just one fragrance but many: jasmine for lost innocence, frankincense for abandoned dreams, myrrh for love sacrificed on the altar of fear. "What kind of curse?" she whispered, though part of her already knew. Kasai began walking, and she found herself following, drawn by invisible threads of destiny. They moved through the winding streets of Stone Town, past sleeping beggars and late-night coffee vendors, past the ancient slave market where so many hearts had been broken that their echoes still lingered in the stones. "My ancestor, Django, was a powerful medicine man," Kasai began, his voice taking on the rhythmic cadence of oral tradition. "He fell in love with a woman named Zubida, your ancestor, but she was afraid of the depth of their connection. She had seen what happened to women who loved too fiercely, how society punished them for their passion." They paused beside the old German fort, its walls weathered by centuries of monsoon rains and human tears. The ocean beyond stretched like black silk embroidered with stars, and somewhere in the distance, a dhow's sail caught the moonlight like a prayer made visible. "So Zubida chose safety over love," Amara said, the words feeling familiar on her tongue. "Yes. She married another man, a wealthy merchant who promised her respectability but no fire in her heart. Django, in his grief and rage, cursed their bloodlines. He said that until a daughter of Zubida's line chose love over safety, all the women in both families would be condemned to half-hearted existence. But wait, my dear listeners, before we continue, I want you to think about your own life. How many times have you chosen safety over the wild call of your heart? Drop a comment below if this story is making you reflect on your own choices. Your engagement helps more people find these timeless lessons. Amara felt the weight of generations pressing down on her shoulders. And you? What happens to the men in your family? Kasai's smile was tinged with ancient sadness. We become collectors of lost love. Unable to form lasting connections, we wander the world gathering the remnants of what could have been. This pouch contains not just spices, but pieces of every woman in your bloodline who chose fear over love. They had reached the waterfront now, where the waves whispered secrets in a dozen languages brought by trading winds. Kasai opened the leather pouch, and Amara saw that it contained far more than spices. There were flower petals that should have crumbled to dust decades ago, silk threads that caught moonlight like captured laughter, and small stones that hummed with trapped memories. Each item represents a choice, he explained. A moment when love was possible but rejected. A wedding dress never worn. A love letter never sent. A hand never taken. Amara picked up one of the stones, and immediately she was transported to a memory that belonged to her great-grandmother, standing at a crossroads much like this one, choosing an approved suitor over the fisherman whose eyes held oceans of possibility. "How do I know you're telling the truth?" she asked, though her heart already believed every word. Kasai reached into the pouch and withdrew a brass locket, tarnished with age. "This belonged to Zubida." "Open it." With trembling fingers, Amara opened the locket to reveal two miniature portraits, one of a woman who looked exactly like her, and one of a man who could have been Kasai's twin. But it was the inscription that made her gasp, "Mapenzi makuu hutaka ashujamku," great love requires great courage. She regretted her choice, Amara breathed. Every day for the rest of her life. And that regret became the chain that bound all who came after. Kasai closed the locket gently and placed it in her palm. But curses, like hearts, can be broken by those brave enough to choose differently. The implications crashed over Amara like the tide against the coral shore. She wasn't just choosing between safety and love, she was choosing for every woman who would come after her, every daughter and granddaughter who might inherit this legacy of half-lived lives. "What if I'm not brave enough?" she whispered, voicing the fear that gnawed at her courage. Kasai stepped closer, and she could see starlight reflected in his eyes. "My grandmother taught me another proverb. Wanem Jasirin Dai and Yangoza Jamiai Kulikia Uhuru, a brave woman is the one who leads her community to freedom." The scent from the pouch swirled around them, and Amara realized it was changing, becoming lighter, sweeter, less like preserved grief and more like possibility itself. The choice was crystallizing before her, sharp and clear as a blade of consecrated steel. She could return to her father's spice shop, marry the respectable young man her parents had chosen, and live a safe, predictable life. Or she could trust this mysterious stranger, break a 7-generation curse, and step into a love that promised to be as dangerous as it was transformative. The brass locket felt warm in her palm, and she could swear she heard the whisper of her ancestor's voice, "Choose what I could not. Choose love." As dawn began to paint the eastern horizon with fingers of rose and gold, Amara looked into Kasai's eyes and made her decision, one that would echo through generations yet unborn and transform the very essence of what it meant to love without limits. But what was her choice? And would love truly be strong enough to break a curse that had lasted 7 generations? The answer lies in our final chapter, where ancient magic meets modern courage, and where you'll discover the power that lies dormant in every human heart. Don't leave me hanging, dear listeners. Have you ever faced a choice between safety and the unknown call of love? Share your stories in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because the conclusion of this tale will reveal secrets about love that you'll want to remember forever. Chapter 3 is coming, and it will change everything you think you know about the power of choosing courage over comfort. With the first rays of dawn painting the Indian Ocean in shades of amber and hope, Amara lifted her eyes to meet Kasai's gaze. The brass locket pulsed warm in her palm, 7 generations of whispered regrets falling silent as she made her choice. "I choose love," she said, her voice ringing clear as a temple bell across the water. "I choose you." The moment the words left her lips, the leather pouch in Kasai's hands burst into brilliant light. The ancient spices swirled upward like golden butterflies, carrying with them the preserved sorrows of generations. Each fragment of lost love dissolved into stardust, released at last from its prison of fear. Amara felt the chains around her heart shatter like glass meeting sunrise. The visions of her ancestors returned one final time, but now their faces were radiant with joy, their spirits finally free to rest. 7 generations of women smiled and faded into peaceful life. Asante, whispered Zavita's voice on the morning breeze. Thank you, my brave daughter. Kasai pulled Amara into his arms as the curse lifted like mist before the sun. Around them, Stone Town awakened to a new day, and somewhere in the spice market, vendors would wonder why their cardamom smelled sweeter, their cinnamon more warming, their love stories more possible than ever before. What happens now? Amara asked, though her heart already knew. Now, Kasai smiled, his eyes free of ancient sadness. For the first time in 7 generations, we write our own story. And so they did, my children. For when we choose love over fear, we don't just change our own destiny, we heal the past and illuminate the future for all who come after. Remember this tale when your own heart calls you towards something greater than safety. As the wise ones say, Moyo mkuhagopi kupenda, a great heart is not afraid to love. And there you have it, dear listeners, the power of choosing courage over comfort, love over safety. If this story touched your heart, show it some love with a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe for more enchanting African tales that remind us of the magic that lives within us all. Tell me in the comments, what chains in your own life are waiting to be broken? What would you choose if fear wasn't holding you back? Your stories inspire these tales, and your courage inspires others. Until our paths cross again under the spice-scented night air, remember, you are the author of your own love story. Asante Sana, and may your heart be forever brave.